Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Living Astrology with Janet. It is time to grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back and relax so we can chat about what is happening up in the stars above for the weekend. Happy Friday, everybody, or Friday, as we like to say. Looking at the next couple of days where I don't have to run and do, even though I will be running and doing because that's what I do. That's what we do, right? Um, Hopefully you all have had a good week. It's been a busy week here. My husband is scheduled for surgery on his right knee for a partial knee replacement, and it's been scheduled for November 6th. Well, earlier this week he went for his pre-op appointment, and I stopped on the way to make his all of his physical therapy follow-ups, got that all taken care of, and between the time I left the physical therapy office and the time I got home, the surgery center had called and said, "Oh, hey, we have an opening on Monday the 28th. Would do you think he would like to do that?" And I'm like, heck yeah, he would like to do that. So we reschedule the surgery for the 28th. I get home, I call physical therapy, I arrange all the appointments again for a surgery that's now going to be a week and some days early. And then last night, actually, they called me yesterday, but for whatever reason, the technology in my phone was behaving badly yesterday. I was on SOS most of the day, meaning I had no phone service. Even though I'm on the wireless system here in the house, they could have called me, but whatever reason, I didn't get the call. At 6 o'clock last night, I get a voice message telling me, "We're sorry. The hospital has canceled his surgery for the 28th and rescheduled it now for the 6th." I'm like, "Oh my god." No reason, nothing in the message, so I called them really quickly. Of course, there's nobody there to tell me what the you know what is going on. And now I have to call physical therapy back and say, "Oh, hey, by the way, we're going backwards in time now to the original appointments that we scheduled." Yeah. So, anyway, at this point, the surgery is scheduled on Wednesday, November 6th. So, well wishes out there to Terry that you can make it the next few days for waiting for your knee surgery. All right, I see everybody's checking in now. So let's say good morning real quickly before we dive in. Good morning, Diana S. It's good to see you with us this morning. Debbie Tippett's Two Meal says happy Friday. I see Narges out there. She says good morning. J Lo, happy Friday. Terry says coffee, coffee, but you're not here to make my coffee for me, honey. So it's cold and almost gone. J-Lo says, OMG, it was shocking everything yesterday. Ooh, full of electricity, huh? I love that. And good morning to all of you out there that I don't see in the chat. Good morning, Tina. She says, I have similar things I have to correct today. Right. I guess I just go with the flow. Peggy, good morning to you. TD Hawk, good morning to you. And our guest, thank you very much. Well wishes for Terry. And I mean, we're really excited to get this done. Um, the poor guy is like, in pain. So hopefully that will fix everything. I mean, he'll be in surgery pain for sure, but it won't be long lasting. All right. So today, what are we going to be talking about? So this morning, as I was thinking about all the things that I want to talk about today, a message just kept coming up about this idea of the spleen center in your human design and how all of the gates have been being triggered day after day or week after week since the end of September, and will continue until we get through the first week of November. And thinking about what does all of that mean in the bigger scheme of things. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the root center and the spleen center. I think in the last webinar I did, we talked about the spleen center. So I'm pretty sure most of you have a good idea of what that is about. But what about the root center? And what about the root center's connection to the spleen? So we're going to talk about that. And then as well, we're going to do the deeper dive since there are no major transits occurring over the weekend. Nothing today, tomorrow, or Sunday. Monday, of course, we have some, but I'll be here to tell you about those. Um, so it gives me an opportunity to dive deeper into some different subjects today. and I'm going to dive deeper into the gene key that is now activated from the 25th until the 30th, and that is the sun at the gene key or gate 28, the gate of adventure or challenge, and the gate 38, opposite of it, which is what gave me the idea of talking about the root center, because this is one of the few times that the sun and earth form a channel in your human design and in your gene keys. And the 38 is called the gate of struggle or the gate of fight. It takes on this energy of struggling or battling or fighting for something. So I want to talk about that and how all of that actually works out in your chart. And then, of course, I like to always start with where the moon is because I'm a Cancer rising sign. Somehow the moon is always a part of my conversation. So let's talk about that. So today, the moon is in the sign of Leo. And when the moon is moving through Leo, the energy tends to be bold. It's a fire sign, right? So there's this boldness, there's this passion, this expressiveness, and this heart centeredness. Leo is a sign that actually rules the heart. And in astrology, the sun is the planet that is associated with Leo. So, rulership, if you will, kind of an older word for it, but rulership, the sun rules Leo. And so there is an influence here from Leo that encourages us to be playful, to be creative. There's a touch of drama in how we do things or in how we approach our emotions, right? Emotions can get a little bit heightened, overblown. And I was thinking about this morning as you know, it doesn't matter if it's an awesome energy like joy or excitement, or it's irritation or, anger. Those things can get exaggerated during a moon in Leo transit. And I was thinking about that this morning because I am super, super irritated about the hospital changing Terry's date. And having done so, like arbitrarily, like, who are you to tell me that, he can't have that surgery that day? And I was making the bed this morning and I'm thinking, okay, who's in charge of these emotions? Oh, yes, you are. But I was also thinking about how sometimes emotional energy, no matter how hard we try to prettify it, no matter how hard we try to make it better, it just doesn't get better, right? I'm still irritated or I'm still upset or I'm still joyful, right? And not that we want to fix joyfulness because, that's more preferred. But here's the point about emotional energy, it's there for us to feel. And it's what sets us apart really from other animals is that this ability that we have to really tap into what it is that we are feeling, the emotional energy. So, yes, I was irritated. And yes, I do have some choices, especially in about how I respond to that irritation, but I'm going to still be irritated. And that's okay. And that's the thing about emotional energy. We want to make ourselves wrong for feeling the bad energies, right? The things that we are, are not acceptable, let's say. But what we're really learning about is what are the energies of the emotions telling us and how do we respond to those? Because, I'm not going to be able to tell you ever that you're not going to feel depressed or angry or upset or irritated or in conflict or confrontational. That's just not going to happen. Right? You're going to feel them. And you're going to feel them in response to triggers in your outer world, things sometimes that you feel like you can't control. But what you can't control the triggers, right? You can't control those, but you can control your response to what it is that is happening, your response to that irritation, right? That is in your purview. But the emotions themselves, they're there. You got to feel them. You might as well feel them, right? And that's why one of the reasons why you likely came to this planet was because you could feel emotion. Mm, yay. So anyway, this is a time with the moon in Leo to really look at those energies of emotions and, understand that from the heart center, you can choose how it is that you're going to respond. And then it's also a time when people feel more confident, when we feel more able to express ourselves, where our own creative energy comes to the surface. And it's also a very social period of time. right? When the moon is in Leo, we want to be in social situations, and maybe we're more active on Facebook, or maybe we're making more phone calls. But also the moon in Leo can bring out, on the negative side, there's always the high, and then there's the, not so high sides to all of the signs. And in Leo, it can bring out a need for validation where we are looking to make ourselves heard, where we're pushing ourselves out there in a way to be seen, heard, validated, recognized. And we have to be mindful then of our need for that attention. And it's not so much the need for that attention, it's what you do to get that attention, right? Are you, being annoying? Are you, speaking up without waiting for an invitation? Are you, doing things that are designed to get you seen and heard, but are irritating to other people? But the key themes then of the moon in Leo is really about creativity and expression, self expression, and socializing, and pride, and confidence, and warmth, generosity. When the moon is in Leo, it's a very generous feeling that we have, that we want to, be a part of everyone in the world. So now, if we look at the moon's effects in Leo, and by the way, let me tell you here, how long are we going to have the moon in Leo? Tomorrow morning at 8:48 a.m. Pacific time, the moon will move out of Leo and into Virgo, which means we're looking at a void moon, and the void begins early morning, 1 a.m. I'm not going to care. I'm going to be asleep. So 1 a.m. to 8:48 a.m. tomorrow, the moon is in the void. So no new connections. It's not really going to be a powerful kind of void. Uh, and we'll just note that the energy shifts in the morning sometimes. So for those of you on the East Coast, that would be 11:48 a.m. So the moon's effects in Leo in our relationships. Let's look at it categorically with through relationships, through health, through finances, and through communication. So I just chose 4 areas of our lives that we could look at the moon's transit. And in relationships, they can feel more passionate and playful and more affectionate during a moon in Leo transit. And that's because we have a stronger urge to express love and an appreciation for love. And we want to share that with other people. And then we have this natural inclination during the moon's transit through Leo to celebrate. Right, to express celebration energies, excitement, romance, love, that kind of thing. And socializing can be extra enjoyable for us as we're, yeah, again, feeling that magnanimous sort of energy. It's fun, it's lively conversation that we might be having with others. So, on the negative side in our relationships, however, Leo's pride can sometimes heighten our sensitivity to criticism. Somebody says something and we take it in as criticism. So, be mindful of yours and other people's needs for acknowledgement, and that can keep things harmonious, right? You might be openly saying, I'm sorry, I did not mean to hurt your feelings. That wasn't my intention, that type of thing. In health, Leo's fire energy, and it promotes vitality and enthusiasm and excitement and sort of an effervescent feel that runs through the body. So it makes it a good time for us to boost our physical activity and dancing, cardio workouts. But cardio workouts, if you're so inclined, or exercise that feels good to you. Like, for me, I love bike riding. And that feels good to me to get on my bike and ride, or even sometimes walking can bring that. And emotional energy tends to be very vibrant now. And our mood and our mental health may benefit from creative outlets, doing things that make you feel good or that make you feel expressive, right? It might be artistic, it might be dance, it could be writing, it could be any number of things. Just be careful not to overextend or push yourself too hard health wise. Leo's intensity can sometimes lead to burnout, and in the body, Leo rules the heart, the physical, literal heart, right? So the heart, also the spine. And if you're having issues with any of those areas in your body, you might have a correlation to the Leo part of your astrology chart. What planets are there by birth? what is transiting through Leo at this point in time that might be triggering, maybe anxiety that makes your heart palpitate or race. Those kinds of things could be issues around creativity or self-love or passion or any of the fire energies or the need to have a creative outlet. Like if your creativity is being stifled, then you're going to feel it in likely the Leo parts of the body. Now, Leo also in the body relates to heat exhaustion. That's not typically an issue that we would experience, at least in the northern hemisphere this time of year. Things are cooling down, but that's something to watch out for too. If you're, using this vibrant energy for cardio workouts, let's say, watch getting overheated, right? Because that's also a Leo thing. Now, in finances, because that's another part that people will always ask me questions about, we might feel like we are more willing to spend money that we may or may not have, right? So be very careful. We may feel very giving, and part of giving might be buying people gifts and so forth. Maybe even treating ourselves with a new outfit or new shoes or something, something that symbolizes achievement, because Leo sometimes is very achievement oriented. So it can be a good time for us to invest in things that uplift us or things that uplift our self-image, right? Getting your hair done or your nails done or things like that. But we also need to be careful that we don't overdo it, right? Leo can be overly magnanimous, overly generous, and that means we can overextend that type of thing. So it's also a good time with the moon in Leo to be a little more circumspect about your finances. And, part of that is the sign of Leo, the moon in Leo, or any planet in Leo, is going to give way to Virgo's analysis and critical thinking, right? So if you've overdone it, with the Leo energy, then as the moon moves into Virgo over the weekend, 8:48 or 8:58, 8:48 tomorrow morning, then you're going to have that blowback, right? That feeling of, ooh, maybe I shouldn't have spent that money, right? So be a wise to the moon's transits, because the emotions are going to change as the moon changes signs. But before we go on to Virgo, let's talk about communication, because in communication, Moon has a need to communicate, to express itself, right? So communication is just one outlet of that. It can be creative, art and things like that too. But when Leo Moon is taking over and talking, speaking, it comes out as warm and open and possibly even theatrical or dramatic conversation. And people, um, during this period of time, we may feel more open to communicating from our heart and sharing personal stories or personal achievements. There's a tendency toward expressing ourselves with confidence and with flair, and humor often comes out too with the moon transiting through Leo. So it's a good idea to communicate openly, honestly, lovingly, and share ideas with others in your life. Maybe it's a good time if you're going to do something like a presentation over the weekend. It can really encourage you to be seen, heard, valued, appreciated, and for us to also see others, value others, recognize others, and appreciate others. All right, that's all Moon and Leo, right? Now, Saturday morning, of course, the moon is moving into Virgo, so we move from that energy of love, play, humor, fun, all of that, to the more grounded, detail oriented, and practical focused Virgo energy. So it's almost like the balloon deflates a little bit, right, from that great outwardly focused energy to now that Virgo more methodical and organized energy. And emotions can become quieter during that period of time and attuned to what needs to be done to work. Right? The work that needs to be done, to the need for structure, for organization and helpfulness. It's a service oriented sign. So you could almost say the Leo moon is all about me, and the Virgo moon is all about how can I serve you, right? How can I help you? How can I help you fulfill your needs? And Virgo's influence with the moon often brings a desire to improve, to perfect, to fix what feels like it's out of balance or isn't working right. So, both within ourselves and also in our environment. So, it's a great time to focus on routines, on the health of your body, your well being, and the practical tasks that need to be done, right? With the things that you have to be detail oriented about or precise in doing. The Virgo moon also, though, on the more negative side of things, has a tendency towards self-criticism. Beating yourself up is not a good plan. So practice self-compassion, and that is a valuable tool for us at this period of time over the weekend as the moon moves into Virgo. So the key themes of the moon in Virgo are practicality, organization, self-care, nurturing of yourself, helpfulness, attention to details because it's a detail-oriented sign, and grounding your emotions, right? Grounded emotional energy. So, if we look at the moon and how it impacts those same four areas of our lives versus how it looked in Leo, in relationships, it might take on a supportive, thoughtful tone, right? People are more inclined to show love in Virgo by doing for others, by offering advice or lending a hand if something needs to be done, or organizing something thoughtful, right? Service oriented type things. So it's an ideal time for practical conversations about relationship dynamics and areas of improvement. How would we improve this relationship? How could we improve this, whatever it is that you're working on? And the Virgo moon's inclination toward perfection can sometimes turn out as criticism or being critical. So being gentle and constructive in feedback helps maintain harmony in your relationships, right? We don't want to just go around cutting people down to size because, we see something that's imperfect. As far as health, Virgo is a sign that focuses our energy on well being and on health. And it's an excellent time then for us when the moon is in Virgo to, kind of take a look around your environment. What is healthy? What is not? What is it that I'm taking into my body? And how is my body responding to those things? Maybe that means we have to do some meal planning, scheduling appointments with doctors, or let them just change them for you, starting a new exercise regimen. Can you tell I'm still irritated with that? Virgo energy really encourages us to pay attention to the small things, right? To the details, to your body's needs when we're talking about health. And, like I'm feeling a little thirsty at this point in time. And, rather than going without, take that into consideration as part of what you need to do for your well being. It's also a good time to focus on your mental health, right? It's not just the body, it's also the moon and the connection to the emotions. So, mental health, by creating healthy habits around your thoughts and your anxieties, maybe taking a step by step approach to help you through any anxious moments. Be mindful of self criticism because that's where it really gets bad, right? When you're criticizing yourself for your perceived imperfections, which we all can do, right? We all do it. And, a Virgo moon emotionally can be pretty hard on themselves, right? With their body, with their mental health, with everything. Finances under the Virgo moon, there's a natural inclination for us to be fiscally mindful, financially mindful, and practical, right? People may feel drawn. We might feel like we want a budget or we have to look at our budgets. Maybe we have to organize our finances, create plans that help us be more financially healthy. It's a great time to be detail oriented and really look at the details of where you might cut unnecessary expenses. And again, not out of fear that you're in lack, don't go in that vein, but go more toward, does it make sense for this money to be spent every month in this way? All right. Becoming more efficient with your money, right? Making your money work for you rather than you always working for your money. Avoid nitpicking over financial stresses too. Like, just don't get overly focused on the small flaws in the budget that make you go crazy. Concentrate, on the bigger picture and the details, right? Don't forget there's a bigger picture, right? In communication, Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So the planet that is called the messenger planet is the ruler of this particular sign. So with the moon's emotional energy here in Virgo, we may be more clear and more precise in communicating our feelings. And people may feel more focused on speaking efficiently and ensuring that we are understood by the people that we are speaking to, and maybe offering more practical advice or wisdom that we want to share with others who are maybe experiencing challenges. So it's a great time for detail work. It's a great time for detailed conversation, and a good time for things like editing, for reviewing, or planning discussions that really require precision and thoroughness. However, the Virgo moon can also lead us to overanalysis. We get into analysis paralysis. We get, hyper focused on small mistakes. So remember to relax and allow some room to be flexible, some room to remember that just a day or so before this, you were in fun and play, right? And bring some of that into the Virgo moon. All right, so that's our weekend from the moons. Let's see. Thank you, Nargis. That is great to remember to like and subscribe if you are enjoying the broadcast. And do that whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube listening. Most of you look like you're on YouTube this morning, but a couple of you are listening on Facebook. I believe it's the like button on Facebook and the thumbs up button on YouTube, and then share with your friends. Good morning to Energetic Pets. I think that's the first time I've seen you here. It's great to have you with us this morning. Welcome. Jamon, good morning to you. Tom, Adventure and Fight. We've been here before, last year and years before, if I recall, every year at this time. And let's see. Teddy, how does the date match up with good luck for Terry? Uh, both dates were great. But, I do have a sort of philosophical view, Teddy, about things like, the change in the schedule. If I think back, it disturbed me a little, right? That it was moving up because, everything that we have planned was scheduled for him being in surgery from November 6th and having the time off from there until the first of the year. And I was a little disturbed by that. And then I got on board with that idea. And then, of course, the change comes yesterday. And I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe November 6th is really the date that would be best for him. So I'm just going to go with that because I can't make the change right now at this moment in time. Asa, good morning to you. TD Hawk, Virgo Moon, great support for working tomorrow morning's Repair Cafe. I don't know what that is, but sounds perfect for that, right? All right. So now I want to go into another topic, and I want to take a look. So the theme of the shows, if you've not noticed, have been about really the changing of the human design weeks or the gene key weeks, right? And we've been talking a lot about the spleen center because the spleen center is hosting the sun at this point in time. Every week he moves into a different gate on the spleen, and the spleen is the center for survival. So often those gates trigger fears or they catalyze some kind of fear response in us. So I've been trying to really focus on that for everybody because, fear is a survival mechanism, but it's not the default that we have to go to. We don't have to automatically believe that the sky is falling every time something changes or every time something is not working the way that we expect it to. And we're all guilty of that, right? It just we go, "Oh, change," surprises make us a little unhinged. Um, and yet there's this really beautiful energy that runs through the spleen as well. For those of you who came to the Spleen Center webinar last month, or no, earlier this month, when was it? The 17th? God. Um, we talked about how do we get from the fear to thriving, right? How do we move out of that fear into the thriving energy? And one of the things I was thinking about this morning is about how the spleen center, and at least today through the 30th of October, is connecting now to the root center. So I want to show you in presentation mode here. I'm going to share my screen so that you guys can see a chart presentation here. All right, so hopefully you guys are seeing my screen. And on my screen here, can I move this up a little? There we go. Here's the spleen center in human design. And you know, the gene keys system doesn't really go by these same centers, right? But it's easier for me to describe for you the gene key if we are aware of where is it impacting me in my body or in my energy centers, right? So it's affecting us here at the spleen, and the gates here, the 32, the 28, and the 18, they all connect over here to the root center. And the channels that connect the root center to the spleen center are really about their pathways, right? And they're pathways that bring together the root center's pressure to take action and take action with endurance and moving that toward the spleen's instinctual awareness and sense of well-being. So when we look here at the spleen center, this is the root center is, or sorry, the root center is the center for pressure, and it's the pressure to do. And it has outlets that go toward the spleen, it has outlets that come up to the sacral, and it has outlets that move over to the emotional center. So the root center is vital in, pressuring us to move outward in our lives and to move upward with action. And so we talk about the spleen, or doggone it, the root center as the center for endurance. Right? It begins with ambition. That's the 54 here. Ambition and drive. And this gate is pressuring us to go out into the world to find success. And that's what the spleen is about, success, right? And thriving, survival. I don't like survival, just seems so minimal, right? I want to thrive. I want to be, in this energy of vitality, and I want to be in this energy of just being able to find success in my life. And it doesn't mean that a failure makes me not successful. It's just that that energy, the word that we have for this center, um, matches really well with success. It's the success when we thrive, right? Thriving energy. So the 54 takes us outward into the world to find success, to thrive, right? Not just merely survive, but to thrive. And now so this was the energy that we dealt with. Let's see, that was from October 14th through 19th. Now, this week, we're looking at this energy on the root center of fight. The 38 is about struggle. And in the 38, that struggle is about how is it that we endure through the struggles, through the challenges, and move to the other gate, the gate here on the spleen, which is a representation of adventure and challenge, right? Finding meaning and purpose in our lives. So the 38, the pressure here is really about finding the right thing to stick with, right? What's the right thing? What's the choosing your battles wisely, I suppose, is another way that we talk about this gate. And, is it a struggle that's worthwhile? Right? And are you trying to birth something? And in birthing something, you're going to have the challenges. You're going to have to sometimes stick with it through the challenges, through the ups and the downs and the struggles and the fight, right? So that's the 38, the pressure here to endure through the struggle to find meaning and purpose at the 28 on the spleen here. Okay. And then in this one, the gate 58 is called the gate of joy or the gate of bliss. In quantum human design, we call this the joy of mastery or the joy in mastery. So the 58 really brings us this pressure to move out into the world to find happiness. And yet it's not outside of us that we find happiness, it's it within us. And it leads us to the spleen's energy here at 18 of perfection, that everything is in perfection in this moment. But unfortunately, we sometimes go through a process of looking for happiness, looking for perfection outside of us, and not finding it. So the 58 here, the survival or the endurance energy is to endure through the process of happiness. It's a natural, and notice that joy here is not something that's on the emotional center. This is the emotional center. Joy is on this center of that pressures us to go out into the world to find perfection, to find, joyful ways of expressing ourselves. It is a foundation energy. You are you are foundationally based in joy, bliss, and vitality. Try that on for size for a while and think about that against the backdrop of your life right now and how, outwardly everything seems a little crazy and, worrisome and, there's a lot of things going on out there that are pulling us away from joy and vitality. Now, in quantum human design, Karen Curry Parker goes further and says, okay, this 58 is about the joy we find in mastering ourselves. It takes on very Scorpio feeling, even though this is Libra energy here, Libra Aries energy. And that that is about how it is that we, um, uh, you know, better ourselves over time, right? That we are on the hunt for how do we perfect ourselves. Now, that can go wrong in so many different ways because it can get to where we're criticizing ourselves or we're being overly critical or overly analytical, and it can lead us to the spleen's worst expressions, which are about fear, right? The shadow energies. But likely, this energy here, this root center energy, helps us to endure, to get to that successful energy that the spleen wants for us, that thriving energy. So, endurance on the root center and success on the spleen center, or thriving on the spleen center. I hope that makes sense for everybody. So, the reason I wanted to talk about that is, when we transition here into the gene keys takes this deeper, and understanding, where's this coming from can be very helpful in you understanding yourself in this process. All right, I'm going to check back here and see if anybody. There was something else I wanted to share about this right here. What was it? Oh, in your own human design chart, some of you may see that yours is colored in. If yours is colored in, then you have a defined root center, and that means you are broadcasting endurance. So, people people may actually think of you as stubborn or persevering or tenacious or determined, right? Because that's defined for you to be that way. There's a stick-to-itiveness here. It's kind of Saturnian feel if I think about it. If you have this center open, then you're here to be wise about what it is that you stick to, because the defined root center can stick to something forever and it might not even be the right thing to stick to, right? But if you have this open, you're here to become wise about what it is that how it is you endure, what it is you endure with or endure through. But initially, at least, this is pressure, the pressure to do. And people that have this root center open are often the ones that have these very long to do lists because they want to get so much done, right? You want to get it all done, but it seems like the done never gets done, right? Because as soon as maybe check off the first five, you've just added five more, and now you're working to get free of the to-do list, right? So it can be a very difficult energy if you have it open, and that it's pressure. You're always feeling under pressure, and that pressure is to do. And as it relates now to the spleen and the energies that are coming in through the sun and the earth right now. And by the way, it's the sun at the gate 28 and the earth at the gate 38. It can pressure you to stay in the fight, and it's not the right fight. It can you can have this ambition and drive to do something that isn't even your own, and you can be seeking joy and mastery in all the wrong places. So the open spleen, I mean, excuse me, the open root center, oh my lord, the open root center is an invitation for you to endure in the right things. which means knowing your type and your strategy and your inner authority so that you can be putting your energy out there in the right way. Okay, hopefully that all makes sense. Now, let's look at the spleen that way for a second. So, some of you have defined spleens. A defined spleen would be colored in, and that means you would be broadcasting health and wellness, and you'd be broadcasting this energy of time and being able to be intuitive, right? That it's an intuition based center. And if you are, broadcasting this, sometimes you miss things, right? The obvious, like your health, right? Maybe you just kept pushing through with this headache, not realizing that maybe you haven't eaten today and you have a headache. But you'd say that to someone who has an open spleen, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, have you eaten today?" Right? The open spleen is very medically intuitive about what they're feeling in their bodies as well as, what other people are experiencing as far as their health is. But an open spleen center can sometimes not know when enough is enough. When is it enough to, time working? When is it enough eating? When is it enough emotional expression? Just sometimes they miss the cues that enough is enough. And so often, even in the sense of how the fears play out here, they can get overly activated for people with an open spleen based on the fact that an open center is taking in the energy from those around them, amplifying it, and possibly rebroadcasting it without any awareness that it wasn't even your own energy, or a transiting planet, like now, is maybe activating that particular center, right? And actually, for someone like, well, I don't have the gate 38, I don't have the gate 28, but now I do. Right? So today until the 30th of October, this whole this center becomes defined because it's connected to this gate 38. It's a channel, the sun at the 28 and the earth at the 38. So now every one of us has a defined spleen and a defined root center. Just remember, if by normal means that you have these open, this doesn't overwrite that. It just does that for the week, right? Things will change when we get back to the third after we when on the 31st when we shift to the next gate, then you will have lost these definitions and will be back to having to really use your type and strategy appropriately. All right, stop sharing. How'd everybody do with that? Everybody doing good? Good morning, Catherine Worcester. And Tom says open spleen, defined root center. Exactly. I have that same thing. And I think that's because I think you have the either your root center, Tom, is connected to your sacral, or the root center is connected to your emotional center. I can't remember offhand which way. So you could still have an open spleen and a defined root because you have 6 other channels that could possibly become defined. J Lo says, I have 28 2 times. It's your evolution and your design Uranus. And that is, when you have planets there already, and then a powerful planet like the sun comes to roost on that gate, it kind of magnifies that energy or amplifies that energy for you. So the energies around adventure and fight and purpose and struggle and meaning, purpose, all uppermost in your experience right now, and the fears around that, which we're going to talk about next as we get into the gene keys with this. So, those are all amplified for you at this point in time, then, JLo. And okay, let's go. Let's look at these through the gene keys. Now, in the gene keys, like I said in the a bit ago, the body graph in your human design is implied. Now you can get a gene keys chart and it's bubbles, right? It looks different. It's not energy centric like human design is, but it's still energetic, right? And the energies in the gene keys allow us to see things through a sort of hologram, right? We get to see it through the shadow energy, and then the gift energy, and then in its highest expression, what would that energy look like? And the gene keys, as the name would imply, links it to your DNA. to the genes that you have. And one of the things I've said many times to people is that you're not a victim of your genes, right? You may have certain traits linked in your genes that you cannot do anything about. For example, eye color, right? I can't change, well, I could put colored contacts in. But I mean, I can't really go into my DNA and say, oh, yeah, hey, change my eyes to green. I'd rather have green eyes today. But there are traits that lie in your genes that you are actually capable of directing. And here's where the gene keys become so very helpful, right? It connects it to a certain set of proteins in your DNA. And I'm not going to go that deep this morning. Sometime, that might be kind of fun to do. Codons, which are groupings of of genes that come together to express something. And there are other genes. For example, you may have the gene for some kind of disease in your genetic profile, but you also have some control about whether that gets expressed or not, right? And it's about becoming aware of how much shadow energy that you're living in, or survival energy, to put it in the words of human design, versus how are you thriving in those gene keys, right? Or in those genetics. And my purpose then in bringing this information to you each day or every week or however often I bring this to you is so that you understand that you are absolutely capable of rising through the shadow to the gift to the city, right? It might take some time, right? But you are perfectly capable of it. And it starts with awareness, right? Being aware of when you are succumbing to the shadow, and then consciously rising to the level of the gift, right? We can do that. And then in the gift, looking and saying, okay, but what would it look like in the highest expression? And how can I get there? Right. So that's what I think of in terms of the gene keys and the wealth of information that it brings us. So today we're going to look at the gene key 28, which is where the sun is located right now. And it moves from the shadow of purposelessness or meaninglessness, we can use that word as well, to the gift of totality, being all in, and finally to the city of immortality. That's the sun. Now, alongside it, we can look at the earth, which is at the gene key 38. And that transitions from the shadow of struggle into the gift of perseverance, and then culminates in the city of honor, right? So these two gene keys together form a powerful narrative for us about facing life's inherent challenges with courage and integrity. So let's break these down a little bit. And remember, all of you right now, even if you don't have the 28 and the 38 defined in your human design or your gene keys, you have them defined now, right? So this is very current information for you right now. So when we look at the shadow of purposelessness in the gene key 28, it revolves around a deep existential fear. And that fear is that life lacks meaning and then you die, right? You're born, everything happens, and then you die. And it creates a sense of urgency for us, or a tendency to chase external validation in the hope of finding fulfillment, looking outside of ourselves for joy, looking outside of ourselves for something that feels good to us. And we may feel like nothing that we do truly matters. And that can lead us to an anxiety or a sense of dread or the fear of failure. The fear of failure is huge here, but it's the gate itself isn't about failure, but it means that we are more aware of what we do and whether we are able to do it or not, because our real fear is of dying with no meaningful life, right? With no meaning. So, leaving us disconnected from a deeper sense of purpose in our lives. So, it's existential anxiety. And at this level, there's this restless search for meaning that keeps us going, but nothing seems to satisfy. We could become adrenaline junkies in this particular low energy, because the fear of death and the fear of unknown causes us to go out and do things that just are, you know, we're looking to feel alive. right? We're looking to feel alive. And so we may have compulsive behaviors that show up as we are working through this intense need for external validation to fill that inner void that we may be feeling. And that's the shadow of this. And how does that feel? Well, we may feel a sense of loss, of being lost or being uncertain about our purpose in life. I mean, I've been here. I've been here myself. We may have a constant anxiety or dread that our life means nothing or that there's no direction. We're rudderless, right, in the face of life in the big, right? And that can lead us to a compulsion to seek outside validation or distractions to avoid confronting our deeper fears, the deeper fear of meaninglessness. So, questions for reflection, and as usual, I will post those later. In what areas of your life do you feel a lack of purpose? And how do you handle feelings of meaninglessness and uncertainty? Now, when we rise to the level of the gift, we're in totality. And the core theme of totality begins when we see life as an adventure and we fully embrace every moment with presence and openness, right? Presence and openness. Here, if we're in the gift level, we stop fearing failure, we stop fearing death, and instead we see the challenges as all part of the greater journey. So totality is the ability to live life with fullness, with full intensity, even, right? Full out. Recognizing that the purpose comes from the way you engage with your life and not from some external direction. It's not outside of you that matters, it's inside of you that matters. So in totality, you're no longer paralyzed by fear, and instead you find, meaning by being in this present moment. That's what the spleen is all about, living in this present moment, giving yourself fully to each experience and trusting that each movement serves a greater purpose in your journey, right? Having faith is it's a little bit like that. And how does this feel when we're living in totality? How does it feel? It's a sense of acceptance. It's a peace with the uncertainty in life. And it's a willingness to embrace challenges and live with the intensity that life can sometimes bring. Right now, things are intense, right? A deep presence and connection with this present moment. Like in this moment, we are fine. Trusting that your purpose will unfold for you as you follow your type, your strategy, and your authority. So, how can you embrace each moment of your life as an adventure? That would be a great reflection question. And where in your life can you find meaning by being fully present rather than searching for an external purpose? Mhm. Now, to move to the city of immortality. I mean, you all know you're already immortal, right? You're already immortal. In other words, you may not have the physical body for infinity, but you have a soul that has an energetic signature that is a being, it is consciousness that lives on beyond you, right? So you are already immortal. But here, the fear of death and purposelessness dissolves, it goes away. Immortality here refers not to the physical life, but to the recognition that life and death are part of the same continuum, right? Life leads to death, death leads to life, right? You transcend fear and you live with the awareness that your essence is eternal. What makes you you isn't the meat suit that you're wearing, right? It isn't. It's what's inside of you. It's your consciousness. And in this state, death no longer feels like something we have to fear. We embrace it as a natural part of existence. And I know that's a difficult concept. So, literally, this city of immortality is the transcendence of fear. And you recognize the eternal nature of who you are, of consciousness, right? And there's no more clinging to life and holding on and fearing its end. Everything is seen as part of a grand, interconnected whole, a continuum, right? A continuum. And what would that feel like to have that kind of awareness? It would be a profound sense of peace and unity with life and with death. Wouldn't you live every moment fully, knowing that you don't have to fear death. I mean, you would just be present to everything. A feeling of transcending the fear of failure and of purposelessness. That's part of that. The realization that life is eternal beyond physical existence. We're just focused here in the physical. And have you ever experienced moments of transcendence like that? And if you have, where the fear of death is no longer there, and what were you doing when that was occurring for you? And what would like life look like if you fully embraced the concept of your immortality? I think it would be a lot different, wouldn't it? Uh-huh. All right. So, gene key 38. Now, this is where the earth is. And from various talks that we've had, where the earth is what we need to ground in. It's what we have to have stabilized in order to rise to that level of the sun. We need to stabilize. So we're moving from struggle to perseverance to honor in the gene key 38. Now, the shadow of struggle centers on the belief that life is a battle to be fought, right? When you're in the shadow, you may feel like you're constantly facing challenges and conflicts, often with no sense of why, no clear sense of why is this happening to me? And this can lead to a sense of frustration, exhaustion, as you feel like you're fighting an uphill battle without any reward, right? No reward. Like, why are all these things happening to me? Life may seem filled with obstacles that drain your energy and prevents you from finding peace, right? So, endless battles, struggle becomes the default mode of operation where every situation feels like a fight, right? Everything becomes like that. And it's like you're constantly a 2-year-old, right? A 2-year-old who's always wanting to know why, what, no, I don't want that. No, no, right? And you may find yourself pushing against life instead of embracing, resisting what is rather than embracing. Um, so, expending energy on conflicts and struggles that don't lead to growth or fulfillment, right? You're fighting the wrong battles. Right? I sometimes feel like our whole planet is fighting losing battles, right? And how does it feel when you're fighting these battles, when you're struggling? It's a sense of constant resistance or conflict in life. You might feel drained from an ongoing struggle, like you've been in a war battle, right? And that just doesn't seem to have a resolution. It just goes on and on. And you might lack clarity about why it is you're fighting for what you're fighting for. Like, why am I fighting? Or what am I fighting for? And the question then for reflection here becomes, where do you feel like you're struggling in your life? And why? Why are you fighting the fight? And how can you shift your focus from struggle to finding meaning in the challenges that you're experiencing? Now, if we elevate this to the gift of perseverance, the gift of perseverance arises when you are transforming struggle into purposeful drive to overcome life's challenges, a purposeful drive, letting go of what doesn't have purpose and being purposeful. And in this state, you understand that obstacles you face are all opportunities for growth, and maybe approaching them from your point of view with determination and resilience can help. Perseverance isn't about fighting blindly. It's about aligning your actions with a deeper sense of purpose, a deeper sense of knowing what is right to fight for, pushing through the difficulties with the belief that they serve your higher evolution, your higher consciousness. So, perseverance allows you to keep moving forward even when life feels tough. And you no longer resist the challenges, but embrace them as a part of the journey, using them to build strength and and to build wisdom as you're going along through the struggle. And, aligning yourself with this idea of um, uh, not fighting blindly for things, right? You have a sense of purpose that drives you even through the most challenging times. And you have a newfound resilience and determination to face the obstacles that life presents you with. Like every day, life might present us with something. And you might also connect that to the feeling of grace, for being able to move through the challenges, and just an understanding that struggle is a part of your growth and can lead to deeper fulfillment. So, Where in your life have you been showing perseverance? And how has it transformed you? And how can you find purpose in the challenges that you face? How can you find that? Now, let's look at the city here because the city, I mean, I have to think about honor and how does honor play in here? So, the city of honor represents the ultimate expression of this particular gene key 38, where struggle is no longer seen as a battle, but as a sacred duty. A sacred duty. In this state, you live with deep integrity and commitment to what it is that you need to move through to get to what you want or to get to what is right. And not out of a need to win or to prove yourself, but because it is in the expression of the highest you, right? Um, Honor is about living in alignment with your inner values, and every action then becomes a reflection of your devotion to truth, to justice, to honor. Living with integrity is the key here. At the highest level here, at the city level, struggle transforms into a form of sacred service, and you're acting out, not out of ego, but out of a sense of responsibility to live honorably and to inspire others to do the same. And it feels like a profound sense of integrity and honor in everything that you do. It's about living with unwavering commitment to your values, regardless of external challenges, right? I'm going to do what's right by me or for me, or what's in alignment with my integrity, what's in alignment with my values. And the realization that true strength lies in acting from a place of deep truth and alignment with your higher purpose. Tall order, I would say, for us right now, right? Questions for reflection. Oh, we're after 9. What does living with honor mean to you? And how can you align your actions with your highest values and sense of integrity? Right? So, struggles are optional, right? Struggles, well, life is struggles, but how you react to them or respond to them, optional. All right. I want to pull a card for us. I didn't get to do that on Monday. Today I can do that. So let's see. I'm going to pull us a Halloween oracle because it's getting that time. And by the way, this is called the Halloween Oracle, and it is by Stacy DeMarco. And let's see, what we get today in terms of message. Oh, okay. Skull of light, illumination, and spider was just below it. So I'm going to do both. Spider. Okay, so the skull of light, right, is a gift of illumination, it looks like. Skull of light. And now I got to find it in here. Um, okay. We can stay in the dark, exist only in the midnight hours, but shining the torch, the victory is ours. As the famous psychotherapist Jung suggested, knowing our own darkness helps us cope with the darkness of others. Taking the time to know thyself, God, I love that saying, and to seek understanding of our more destructive or shadow natures can lead to huge happiness and less anxiety. The idea of being shown the way in the most difficult of times and always knowing that we are never alone in the darkness are the keys to this magical element. Light is usually a comforting thing, yet sometimes we do not really want to see the boogeyman under the bed. It is too scary, too big, and we know not how to defeat it. Yet by simply shining the torch upon such darkness, the victory is ours. Should the skull of light enter your life, know that it is time to open yourself fully to the clarity of bright illumination. Allow yourself to be seen, to see, and to act upon what is shown to you. The time is past for hiding, for pretending, and for swallowing our discomfort by accepting the status quo when it really doesn't suit us. All right, that's the skull of light. And spider is community and web weaving. And I'm reading both because both came out together, kind of stuck together. Let's see what spider means. Spider. She spins her silk alone in the dark with hope of collection, sticky with dreams, weaving the worlds a wide web of connection. Masses of sticky spider webs make any Halloween decorations complete. The idea of a haunted house covered in the artwork of a big hairy spider is classic horror. Even those of us who appreciate our eight legged friends still hurriedly brush off those stealthy webs if we run into them in the dark. Although most spiders are not venomous, humans have an innate fear of them. Perhaps it's the fangs or the poison. Perhaps it's all those legs and the way they move. Perhaps it's where they live, often in dark, hidden places, or the way our Western popular culture has demonized them by making them giant, fierce, and man eating. Some cultures, though, revere the spider in very positive ways. In many Native American traditions, for example, the spider is the creature that gives birth to all the other animals and sustains the web of life. The goddess spider grandmother, and there is also a spider woman, is a key deity that brings wisdom, safety, and communication to all the tribes. She created and wove all the stars in the sky and makes soft webs for those that are troubled to rest upon and be supported by. Spiders' webs can be seen as a symbol of connection, not necessarily entrapment. There is a fine line sometimes between a family or community supporting us and controlling us. This card looks at this discernment. It also suggests you review the way you communicate with the wider community, at work or generally with others, and take steps to improve this or do it slightly differently. It also indicates that there needs to be a balance between what you do for yourself and what you do for others. If we give too much to the outside, our strength diminishes and we cannot weave the supporting web for ourselves. I think that's a great reminder. Spider. All right, guys. That is it for me today. And unless something changes, I will be with you on Monday. Take care, everybody. Have a happy weekend. Bye for now.